We have all been there, right? Someone with the absolute best intentions gives you a piece of advice, and it just lands with a thud. It feels hollow, generic, and totally disconnected from what you're actually going through. Well, today we're going to get into exactly why that happens.
I mean, seriously, think about it. You're in the middle of some crazy, stressful situation, you open up to someone, and they hit you with a, just be positive, or, oh, everything happens for a reason. And you just kind of nod and smile, but on the inside you're screaming, that is not helping. It's something we all go through, and, believe it or not, there's actually a name for this kind of advice.
Yeah, the word is bromide. It's the perfect term for that kind of stale, cookie-cutter, unoriginal advice. It's meant to make you feel better, but because it has zero substance, it often just makes you feel worse. And the reason these bromides fail so spectacularly, well, it can be understood with a really simple but powerful metaphor. Okay, this right here is the heart of it all. The huge gap between the person giving the advice and the person receiving it, it's like the difference between a meteorologist watching a hurricane on a screen and the person who's actually on the ground living through it.
This just lays out the disconnect so perfectly. On one hand, you've got the advice giver, the meteorologist. They're objective, they see the whole map from a bird's eye view. They're calm, they're distant, and they can point to all the data. But the person taking the advice? Oh, you're in the storm. Your experience is chaotic, intense, you're at ground zero. You don't see a map. All you see is wind and rain hitting you in the face. You're not thinking about data, you're just trying to survive.
So, now that we get the disconnect, let's really put ourselves in those shoes. Let's go to ground zero, right into the middle of that personal storm. What does that actually feel like?
This is exactly why those bromides, that cookie-cutter advice, can feel like such a slap in the face. The meteorologist can say, just head northeast to avoid the worst of it, but that assumes every storm is the same and everyone has the same compass to navigate it. When you're at ground zero, your problem feels completely unique, totally overwhelming.
And this is the critical difference, isn't it? The person giving the advice, they see a clear path. They see the beginning, the middle, and the end. They have the map. But when you are in the thick of it, you are completely lost. You don't have a map. You can't see 5 feet in front of you, let alone the path out.
And in that moment, your entire world, your whole focus just shrinks. All of your energy, every single thought is dedicated to one single goal, just getting through the next minute, maybe the next hour. It's a primal reactive state. Long-term strategy, that is a luxury you just do not have.
And this is so crucial. You are making it work with the limited resources you have, right here, right now. So when someone from their calm, safe, distant place says, hey, why don't you just build a shelter? They don't get that you don't have any tools or materials, you're just trying to hold on for dear life.
So if the chaos is just too much, if you can't fight the storm head on, what does our mind instinctively do? It searches for shelter. It looks for a temporary escape, any escape.
And this is where we find it. Right in the heart of all that chaos, there's often this weird temporary calm. We run to the eye of the storm, not to solve the problem, but just to get a moment's relief from the feeling of the problem.
This is the shelter of avoidance, and you know what I'm talking about. It could be binge-watching a show, endlessly scrolling social media, or just flat-out refusing to think about the issue. It's a quiet little space we build to pretend the wind isn't howling just outside. It feels safe, but it's a false safety.
Because here's the thing. Eventually the storm moves. The eye passes over you, and you realize those walls of wind and rain are closing back in. That temporary peace was never, ever a solution. And it's in that exact moment that you're forced to face an inevitable truth. And this brings us to this final, really powerful idea. That very act of hiding in the quiet space, of avoiding the storm, it's communicating something incredibly important.
You see, our avoidance isn't just nothing. It's not just an action, it's a message. It tells a story all on its own. And sometimes it tells that story more powerfully than any words we could ever say out loud.
Just let that one sink in for a second. The things we actively try to ignore, the subjects we change, the thoughts we push away, that silence is absolutely deafening. It's pointing a giant flashing arrow directly at where the real problem is. So what that means is that the silence, your avoidance, it really does speak volumes. Ignoring a problem is basically a confession that you feel powerless against it. So what you don't say, the storm that you're hiding from in that quiet eye, that's what tells the real story, the true story of what's actually going on inside. And that leaves us with one final, very personal question. Look,
We all have our storms, and we all look for shelter from time to time. So, what is the storm you're in? What is the loud silence in your own life trying to tell you? What are you pretending not to notice?